So we are at 9:31 this morning on this lovely, it is Wednesday, April 13th. We're glad to have you with us this morning. You are here for, move slide one, please. You are here for your commercial training. So the agent commercial training. So I'm going to give you a little bit of housekeeping stuff here at the beginning. And then I'm going to switch it over to Mr. John Jackson. He is going to walk us through commercial application. Good morning, John. Good to see you. We also have a lot of people helping here in the background. We have Noah Straley, Judy Anderson, Laura McHale, and Maria Montoya Godsa. Good morning, y'all. Good to have y'all with us. They are going to be helping with anything we need. This is an all hands on deck situation. So we are going to be answering your questions in the Q&A box. Any ones that come up, especially repeatedly, or things that we feel like are good to put through the group as a whole, we will put those out verbally so everyone can hear and take part in those questions and answers. So that's the first point. Your Q&A box is where you're going to communicate with us this morning. So if you have any sort of question that you need answered, any sort of clarification, drop it in that Q&A box, and one of us here that are answering those questions will get it answered for you. And if we don't know the answer, then we will find out for you. We also are live, excuse me, on YouTube. So good morning, YouTube, if you're watching us through YouTube this morning. This morning, we are going to walk through our new commercial application. Hopefully, a lot of you, if you do residential as well, have spent some time with us in the overview trainings that happened last week and the beginning of this week. If you didn't, that's okay. We are putting a recorded version of that webinar up on our training center, and I'll talk about that more at the end of the webinar. But today we're going to focus specifically on commercial. When John's walking through that commercial application, he's also going to give you an overview of the new features for commercial, new questions that we might be asking to give you an idea of what that commercial application looks like in our new system. Excuse me. So why is TWIA changing their system? TWIA is moving to an updated and flexible system that gives agents a more streamlined application process with enhanced communication and policy maintenance capabilities. Additionally, this will allow TWIA to easily make system changes and continually improve our business processes. So a little overview of the impacts. Again, if you visit us in the overview training earlier in the week or last week, this part's a little bit repetitive just to give kind of the basics, and then we'll jump into the commercial. So bear with us just a moment. For applications, you're going to see a more streamlined navigation. You will also see that an offer packet is now going to generate for new business and renewals. For about a year now, we've had an offer packet that's generated for our renewals. And with this new system deploying, new business is going to have the similar offer packet that will go out as well. Payment plan options. For TWIA, TWIA has always had the full pay option. About a year ago, we added the 2-pay. And with this new system deployment, we're going to have a 4-payment option, as well as a 10-payment option specifically for the policyholder as that drafts from their bank account and on an automatic payment. For renewals, we're going to talk about these in more detail after the demo. But for renewals, existing policies in what I'm going to start calling our old system, because that's the system you've been using, those existing policies will start migrating into, excuse me, I'm super congested this morning. Our existing policies that you have in our old system are going to start migrating to the new system about 60 days prior to their renewal date. So again, we'll talk about those renewals in a little bit more detail after those demos. A couple other impacts here, the seamless self-service. It's going to be a simplified, organized access to policy information, making it easier to track the status of quotes, renewals, cancellations, billing, and payments. Additionally, the self-service book of business reporting and commission statements is also a new feature that is going to be specifically for our admins. And so if you're an administrator or believe you're going to be listed as an administrator in our new system, those would be features that would be accessible for you. Other important impacts is that Guidewire will no longer require any sort of download, so that's a great change, as well as most web browsers will be supported. So most of your general web browsers that you use on a daily basis will be supported with this new system. So let's take a look at the new agent portal deployment timeline. So this is all happening very soon. We've been sending out some communications through our agent bulletins. Of course, we've had these webinars running as well, but the important date is Monday, April 18th. That is when our new agent portal deploys. What's actually going to happen is on Friday, so in 2 days, on Friday, our system is going to be shut off at around noon so that this deployment can begin taking place. Starting on Monday, when you have access to this new system, all new business applications entered after that date are going to utilize the new system. So that April 15th, when we shut down our system for this deployment to put the system into play, when everything comes back up on Monday, your old system, or the one you've been using consistently now and that you're familiar with, will no longer have new business application capabilities. So anything starting Monday, April 18th, moving forward for new business, you will be entering in this new system. And again, John's going to demonstrate that for you on how to put in that application here in just a minute. What's also going to happen is starting around mid-May, renewals with an effective date of around July 17th, 2022 will initiate migration into the new system. So what that means for you is everything that you currently have in our old system, all of your policies, all the data, all the histories will remain in that system and be accessible to you as needed. But then as your renewals are coming due, if you have any that have a mid-July renewal date around mid-May, giving about a 60-day window, those will start migrating and shifting over into our new system. And that process is going to continue from mid-2022 to mid-2023. All of those policies, about 60 days prior to their renewal date, will continue that migration process until your agency's entire book of business is in the new system. So for about a year or so, you're going to have both systems. You're going to have the old system that has your existing policies and existing data and history in there. And then the new system, which is going to have any new business applications after April 18th, as well as any policies that have migrated starting with a mid-July effective date. I want to make an important point here as we're talking, as far as any quotes that you have in our current system. This is an important point. If you have any quotes that are in our current system that have not been submitted to TWIA, so maybe you ran the quote to give the premium information to a potential policyholder, but they haven't actually decided to apply for coverage officially. Those quotes will not be accessible after April 15th either, when our system shuts down. So between today and tomorrow or early Friday, if you have quotes in our existing system that you're wanting to submit to TWIA to attempt to get bound and insured, you would need to submit that prior to that Friday noon deadline. Otherwise, if you're still looking to attempt to get coverage, you would need to enter a new application on Monday, April 18th in our new system. So again, anything pending, not submitted to TWIA, is not going to be accessible or available to you after the April 15th shutoff time at noon. So old system and new system. So I see a couple of questions coming in. Your login is going to be the same. So there will not be any changes to your login, but you don't have to re-register for anything. If you are a current user in our current system, we have migrated your information over into the new system. So there's nothing you need to do to register specifically for this new system. On Monday, as you're getting a little sneak peek right now of our TWIA.org training, or TWIA.org website, excuse me. On Monday, you'll see our website screens change a little bit. And one of them here on the agent tab is letting you know how to log in to which system and access which portal. So for the old agent portal or the old system, what you've been using, you see that button on the left-hand side. There's a little blue button there that says log in to old agent portal. And it's giving an idea of timeframes, right? If you can't remember, it's kind of confusing as far as dates. Starting on Monday, you're going to use that system for policies issued or quoted before April 18th. It should be 2022, so apologize for the date, but it's 2022. And any renewals effective before July 18th, 2022. So again, anything that's going to remain in that old system or anything that has been issued or quoted and submitted prior to April 18th will remain in that old system. So your blue button there, if you're needing to access that historical data or existing policies, you would hit that blue button and it's going to take you to the system that you're familiar with today. The right-hand side shows you the new agent portal button. So you see the blue button there that says log into the new agent portal, and it gives you an idea there for all new business applications after April 18th, or renewals that have an effective date on or after July 18th, 2022. So that'll be the split. So you'll see the screen on the website and you'll have those two buttons to direct you to whichever system you might need to utilize at that specific time. And with that, I will take a voice break here and pass it over to Mr. John Jackson, and he is going to give you guys an idea of what this new system looks like and the main dashboard that you land on, as well as a live for a commercial application. Take it away, John.
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone's in the meeting. What we'll be doing today is doing a live commercial quote demonstration. I will be going over a few things on the agent portal page, just in case some of you missed the general agent training. Also, for more in-depth information regarding the general agent training, you can visit us at our website at www.twia.org. So the first screen you see once you log in to the agent is the agent dashboard. It's the home screen, which you see by the little house up top, and you will see these tiles for all your open quotes, all your open policy changes, open cancellations, or any open renewals. Also, a neat feature is any open activity you may have. As you can see, they're sorted by if you have any overdue, what's due today, or due after this week. So it does give you a timeline of what you can see. And one of the neat features you have with these activities, if you click on the plus symbol, it gives you the ability to communicate back by adding a note. You can put the subject, the note, and add. Also, if you need to upload any documents, if we're requesting any documents for you, say we need any certificate of compliances, you can click here on this tab, select certificate, upload the appropriate documents, or even if it's a cancellation, we need anything from you, or a lost cause quote, you have the ability to upload it right here from this activity. So that's another neat tool that we have with the new agent dashboard. Through the other tiles, you have your accounts section. And the first thing you'll see, you have the recently viewed, recently created, and all accounts. Any recently viewed will show here. If you recently created any, it will show here also. And if you want to see everything, it will show up here. The next tile is your policies. As you can see, you have any that you want to see that's recently issued. If there's any billing delinquencies, any open quotes, any open renewals, if you had any requalification renewals, any changes or any cancellations. If you click the view all feature, it does give you ability to filter through your book of business. I think this is a new tool and it's neat, something different that you don't get today. If you just want to see commercial lines, you click commercial, you only see commercial policies. Residential, only residential. You want to just see your cancellations, it's listed. Any changes, renewals, quotes, policies, all those things. You have the ability to just see your ones in force or the ones canceled. So one of the neat tools with the filtering system we have available for you in the new agent dashboard. Also, you have ability on the claims tab, if need be, to file a claim for your insured. We did put a sample one in for you. It lists the policy type, account information, the claim number, data loss, they reported. I know it's a new feature that you're not used to. We also have activities tab. If you want a more in-depth look at all your activities, has the ones that are open, completed, and unassigned. And it also has advanced filter also if you want to go through a deeper dive. Also, we have a universal search tool up top. If you want to type in a name, it will search for anything listed. If that's so, if you have a policy number or offer number or anything of that set and you want to find it, we'll find the policy number associated. If you have an offer number, it'll tell you, hey, I have no results for that. So it's very universal tool. You had an address you want to put in. So any historical tool you have related to your policy that you may know, just in case if you don't know the name, you can search by an address you may think, account number, policy number, insurance name, and those things there. Also, we have new policy statuses. Just want to get in those for you real quickly. We have offer submitted, we have quoted, and draft status. And of course, if a policy is issued, we will have enforce and counsel. Those are just a few things that I wanted to highlight on this page. Also in the right-hand corner, we do have the media sidebar. If you need to get to any training guides and additional resources, you can click here and it'll take you to our website. And any communication we may post about what's going on with the association is listed here in the right-hand corner.
Hey,
So our
John,
next-
we had a good question pop up while you're sitting here. Stephanie's asking, will all policies for the agency show up in these sections, like in the accounts and policies and claims activities that you were showing, or only what's assigned to that individual user?
Great question. It will be based on how your agency admin sets up the user. Just I'll give you quick on the dashboard, everything. You can see work started by me, everything, or the agency as a whole, but it will be based on the permission set by your agency admin. Great question. Any other questions before I get into the quote?
So far, so good. I think you can keep going.
Okay. And one neat tool, if you are in a particular account and you can also start a quote from inside that account without creating a new one. On this particular account, if you wanted to start a quote, you could from inside the account tab, and it will take you for that. We want to start a brand new quote, so we're going to start up top. As you notice, since I'm inside of this account tab, it asks, hey, do you want to quote for this account or another account? If I go back to the home tab, it will automatically start a new quote by searching for an existing account if there is one. Since we're doing a commercial quote, I'm going to select organization, put a dummy name in. Want to use an address and click search. Since there are no account matches, we're going to click continue as a new customer. Now this is new account details. We put in organization name, and now we put in account holder email address. Now the email address is very important. That's the way the insured or the customer can set up their own personal account, and they can manage their policy documents, their payment plans, and if they need be, they can file a claim. And also the first section will ask you for the address that you're looking to insure. And I know some addresses are long, so you do have this first address and you have the ability to put the suite number listed below. Also, you're only going to get the 14 counties that are eligible under the Texas windstorm policy and the city. So we do use smart logic. So based on the counties, you will get the cities that are associated in those counties, along with the zip codes. Your producer code name is listed here. Then we're going to click create account. Then you have a product, residential or commercial. We're going to select commercial. So as with TWIA, you still have to go through the general eligibility questions to be eligible to write a wind and hail policy with Texas windstorm. So the first question is, have the applicant been declined wind and hail coverage by at least one insurance company in the private market? To continue to be eligible, you have to select yes, and you will have to list that company that was declined by. I'm just going to put test in and the reason whether declined or excluded. We'll say decline. Then you have the flood question. Related to the what zone they're listed in. I'm gonna select yes. I'm gonna select no. It was not large after September 1st, 2009. If it was, basically you had addition put on. You will select yes and continue to answer the remaining questions. Next is regarding property eligibility. Was the structure built or have external modification been made on or after January 1st, 1988? Basically asking for the certificate of compliance. Are there anything was the structure built or we did any repairs like re-roofs, replace siding, doors, windows, foundations, support posts, things of that nature? I'm gonna click yes. And they're gonna ask, are there any certificates or certificate of compliance pending applications for certificates? If they do have appropriate certificates or any pending, select yes. If they do not, select no. Has the property previously been insured by TWIA? If you know if it has been insured, you select yes. If you're unsure, or if you don't know the policy number, select no. Click next. And the first thing, as you notice, we have the scroll drop down bar. You have the ability to go back to your previous selections. You feel like you didn't answer the question appropriately or you got new information from it. We'll collect previous, we'll go back into the questions and make any changes if necessary. So on the building and location screen is where we would add our buildings and structure. Now with commercial policy, you do have the ability to add more than one building or location. Want to click add building. You have the ability to use the existing location that you entered at the beginning or put in a new location. For this one, select existing. They're going to ask, is the property accessible by road? If you click no, you will have to put in how do you access the property, whether it's by boat, submarine, zip line, whatever it may be. You put it into the tab so we know as underwriting how to access the property event we need to send someone out. And click yes for this. You want to click next. The next page you see, we're going to ask you more information about the structure. If it has a building number, you'll list it here, a unit number, the building description. I'm gonna put food cafe, or if you know the name of the business, you can put the name. Next, what is brand new, we have coverage forms, and there are 5. They're for building and business property, for business property only, habitational, which is basically your apartment complexes, your apartment buildings. Also, or you have condo master policy, it's for your condo building, your master condo association. If you have any townhome associations, that will fall under this also. And you have builder's risk. And one thing to note, you will not be able to add multiple coverage form on one policy. So if the policy is for a condo master policy, you can list all your condominiums under that policy, but you won't be able to list any, say, auto body shops under that policy or restaurants. So I'm gonna select building and business property. Also, now we have property class codes. And this is just to help TWIA identify what type of properties we're insuring, to identify our book of business. There are numbers. I'm gonna select, if you know what it is, you can type, it does a search. There are the code numbers if you memorize it, know them for sure. If not, I just type a few words in and it'll do a search for you. Since it's a food cafe, we'll do a restaurant with cooking. And then it types in the property class description. Then once you select the property class code, you will get the risk item type. And it's basically what type of structure. Whether it's antenna, bleachers, boathouse, canopies, commercial building, and so on and so on. For this, we'll select commercial building and or business personal property. Once you select that, we'll click next. They're going to ask you total number of units in this building. For this cafe, we'll click 1. Some buildings have 2 units, 3 units, 10 units. and want to ask for the year built. As you can see, everything with an asterisk is required. And ask the construction type. These are based on ISO ratings. You have frame construction, masonry, pre-engineered metal, steel frame, protected steel frame, and reinforced concrete. For this one, select frame. We'll ask the number of stories. I'm going to select 1 and the total area. We do have a new question called percentage sprinkled. Now, this is not used for rating in any way. It's just informational only for TWIA. If you're unsure what it is, you can click NA. If you know, you can click a number. The next question will be the roof type. We do have a comprehensive list of different roof types that you can choose from. For this particular one, I'm going to select build up roof. And they're going to ask about the wind rating. Is it ordinary construction? Now, if I did select, say, masonry or pre-engineered metal, you do have the ability for superior rate wind resistant rating. However, for any superior rating, you will need to provide the lost cost quote that is provided through ISO. Back to frame, ordinary. And then this is the question about the construction date. Has a certificate of compliance or official building statement been provided for the construction? If you know the exact date, say it was May 9th of 2005, you can put in the exact date with the calendar. If you have any roofing dates, any repairs, if you need to add a roof date, you'll add it here. Along if it was a full or partial. Put council. If you had any repairs, you will add it here. Put council. And we'll click next. As you can see, I did not answer the certificate question, so we'll make you answer before you move on. If I select no and then click next, it will stop you in your tracks. We'll let you know for a property to be eligible, it does need a certificate of compliance. You select yes. Then we'll click next. For any building coverage or this personal property, the increased cost of construction, the business income, you will select the box and it will filter out. Now with commercial application, you will still have to launch the MSB. It is not pre-filled. It's still the old way. So you click MSB and you have to log in with your username and password as you would today. So related to the MSB evaluation report, nothing has changed for commercial. Then you'll bring the MSB back with you. You'll enter the replacement cost, the actual cash value, and then the limit of liability. Almost like 250. And the applicable deductible now, whether it's 1%, 2%, or 5%. I'm gonna select 5%. And also next you have the valuation method. Do you want actual cash value or replacement cost? For this structure, I'm gonna select replacement cost. As you can see, the co-insurance automatically defaulted to 80%. And you have the replacement cost endorsement, the form 164 added. And say, hey, we want to add personal property also. We'll click the box and say, okay, what's the estimated replacement cost? We'll say 100,000. What's the actual cash value? 75. We want $95,000 worth of coverage. Deductible already preset at 2%. We have the valuation method. You can select replacement cost. Now, if you select actual cash value, you will get a notice. Hey, the amount of insurance on the business personal property covers meets the minimum requirement for replacement costs. And the same thing if you do it here under the building, you will get the two messages. So just to let you know, hey, it does qualify for replacement costs. You do have the ability option to add it. We'll add replacement costs back. And if we want any increased cost of construction, we can add it here. 5%, 10%, 15%, or 25%. Same as today, nothing has changed with the increased cost of construction. As well as business income coverage, you do have the ability to add it. The one thing that we did add for you is we will give you extra expense coverage at the amount of $10,000. Same today, you select whether manufacturing or other. The business income daily limit is at minimum $50 a day, at maximum $1,000 a day. I'm gonna select $200, and the business income max number of days stays the same. I'm gonna select 180. And what happens is it will automatically pre-fill your income limit liability, which comes up to $36,000. This is based on your daily limit and the max number of days. Now, once you enter all the appropriate information for yourself, you can click next. And on the item is when, if you have any additional interest, you will click add additional interest. If it's a person, you have ability to add as a mortgagee, contract to sell, lost payee, or as an organization, you have the ability to add as a mortgagee, contract to sell, lost payee. I'm gonna add the mortgagee. You will have to enter the loan contract number. It is a required field now. The name. And put the address. If it's a building or unit, you can put on address line 2, and we also have address line 3 if necessary. Texas 78749. Country. If you know the phone number, please input the phone number, or if you have the email. If not, that's okay. It's not required. Once you finish, you click save. And it shows up here. If you need to edit at any time, you'll click the edit button, or if you need to delete, you click the trash icon. We'll click next. And if you want to go back and make any changes, you can through drop-down arrows. You can edit location, you can edit the building, construction, coverages, and so on. If you're done with the building, if you want to add another building, you can click here, or you can just click done. One thing that we're going to do is once you add the building, you see it has a location ID number as 1, a building ID number as 1, and also whatever the building description you put in. So if you have multiple items on a policy, it'll help you identify what item you may be looking for. And it has the new coverage form prefix, TWCB, which is Tuia Commercial Building. You have an option to add another building here. Also, you have 3 dots. You have the ability to delete this building if you no longer want it, or you have the ability to add a building to this location. What we're going to do, we want to add a building to this location. You're going to use the existing location or a new location. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use the existing location. And as you can see, the coverage form is already defaulted to building and business property, and it cannot be edited. And then once search for the property class code, since it's related to the restaurant, I'm select restaurant with cooking. Then I have the risk item type. What I'm going to do, I'm going to select carport. I'm going to click next. You're going to ask for the year built. I'm going to say this carport been here since 1985. Next, you have the construction type. Is it frame, solid, masonry, or metal? I'm going to select metal. Then I'll ask, are the outside walls of the structure more than 50% open? Yes or no? Select yes. Here, since 1985, if you're not sure the exact time frame, you can leave it as 1/1/85. There's been any roofing updates, you select add the roof information. We'll click next. And then this is where we add the coverages. We'll click building. You have the ability to launch MSB if necessary. I'm just going to do something generic. I'll select the deductible. I'm gonna select the valuation method. As you can see, I select the average cash value. Say, hey, you can add replacement costs. And okay, I'm gonna go back and add replacement costs. I'm not going to add any other coverages. I'm just going to add the building coverage for the carport. I'm going to click next. Also, if you want to add any additional interest, you can here also. You also get the drop-down menus if you need to make any changes. We'll click next. I am done with any information with the carport, so I'm going to click done. And you see it's still under the location ID 1, but it listed as building 2. And the metal carport is listed here. You also have the same 3 dots to delete building or add another building at this location. The next step I'm going to do, I'm going to add a building with a different location address. So I'm going to click new location. I'm going to ask, is there a physical street address? If there is not, what you would put in the lot, block, section, addition information. For most structures, you are going to have the physical street address. I'm going to click yes and put in the address. Once I enter the address information, the territory code is pre-filled. It is based off the county, the city, and zip. And you have the question if it's accessible by road. I'm gonna click yes. We'll click next. Also, we have building number, unit number, building description. The unit number, I'm gonna say 101. Building description. And I'm gonna use the same code. Well, I'm gonna do something a little different. You have the ability to say, hey, it's a bar. So that's bar and taverns. You can list here also. Under these, you can see the drop down. Select this one. The risk item type. I'm say commercial building. Click next. Then the total of units in the building. I'm select 1 and the year built. Construction type, I'm going to select masonry. Number of stories 1. The total area, percent sprinkled, say 100%. And the roof type, I'm select build up. From there, the wind rating. Now, if I do not have a loss cost quote where I still came out certified has been semi-wind resistant, I cannot select this. I do not have one, so I'm going to select ordinary. I have the construction date. I'm going to say, yes, I have a certificate. We have not done any repairs or additions or any re-roofs, so I'm going to leave those blank. I'm going to select next. We'll select building coverage. Just as before, we could launch MSB. I'm gonna put in the replacement cost value and the actual cash value. And I'm gonna put limit at 95,000. The deductible I'm put at 1%. Evaluation, I'm gonna put replacement costs. And just want to tell you, building coverage limited cannot be less than 8% of replacement cost value. So basically letting me know, hey, this limit you put in does not meet replacement costs. But change the actual cash value. And they'll tell you the amount of insurance on building coverage does not meet the minimum requirement for replacement cost coverage. And so I can only have actual cash value based on the limit of liability. I'm gonna add this cover increased cost of construction. I'm not going to add business personal property or business income coverage. We'll click next. Again, if you need to add a mortgagee or lost payee or contract to sell, you will add an additional interest. Click next. And click done. Now you have 3 structures added to the policy. You have 2 under the same location and 1 in a separate one. You see the location ID select 2. But you have the building ID 1, 2, 3 in the building description and the coverage forms. Each one you have the ability of the 3 dots to delete or add a building to that location. From building a location, the next section is the quote.
Hey, John, before you move on there and stay in the building's locations, we had a good question come in from Rebecca, and I think it's just a clarification or making sure we're separating residential and commercial. She was asking about the one location on policy. And so Laura already answered it for her, in written form, but, maybe wanting to speak to that. We have, 2 locations here in multiple buildings. So maybe speaking to that real quick of the difference between the commercial and residential policies.
Yes. So residential policies, you're only allowed to have 1 item per location and 1 item per policy. With commercial, it's different. Now with commercial policy, you are able to have multiple items at 1 location. Also, you're allowed to have multiple locations on 1 policy. And just the residential, we only have what we call the 1-to-1, which basically 1 item per location and 1 item per policy. One thing with commercial though, the coverage form, if you do decide to have multiple items or multiple locations, all the coverage forms will have to be the same. You will not be able to have a builder's risk, say, policy with a commercial building coverage form, or a condo master policy with the commercial building form. That was a great question. Well, I'll move on to the quote section now. Click next. And since based on the coverages we selected on each item type, there's now calculating the quote. So what you see up top, one, I did want to mention that the quote number is listed up top once you start a quote, along with the account information. You do have the ability to exit out if you select this, and it will save. It'll just take you back to the home screen. And click cancel. Also, you have a total premium, including credits and surcharges for everything listed, the proposed effective date, and you have the ability to go back and edit coverages from the quote screen. Under location 1, we have a new drop down that will list building 1 and 2, and under each one, it will list down all the property coverages you selected. All the way down. And the same thing for building 2. You go down, you see the building coverages, the limit, deductible, valuation method, co-insurance, any endorsements. Location 2, you can do the same thing. Let's see, there's only 1 building located. It's give you the same property coverage, building coverage, extensions of coverage. Everything is very detailed. Now, if you don't want to see something anymore, you can scroll up and it takes it away. If you're satisfied with the quote, you can click next. On this page, on additional information, this is where you add any additional named insureds on the policy, whether it's an organization, a person. I can put and then you can save. And if you want to delete, you can click delete. If you want to edit, you can edit or add additional ones. Also, if the policy has been premium finance, you have the ability to add the premium finance here. Click add, the contact type is company, and the interest is premium finance. You will be required to put in the loan number, the name, and the address information. Select cancel. Also, any applicable documents you will upload here. You do have the drop down of certificate of compliance, historical landmark exception, photos, ISO loss cost quote, replacement cost valuation, map, diagram, other documents. I'm gonna click next. So which we're seeing, so based on the selection I made earlier under the buildings and location, it is requiring me to upload a map and diagram. And that's because we have two items at one location. So we need to verify which structures are which and what we're insuring. Also, based on the data construction, we do need certificates of compliances. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is upload those documentation so we can move forward with the quote. Select certificate of compliance, upload document. So one. You can see the bar has been uploaded. And once you upload it, you can add a description if need be, but it does pre-fill the name of the document type, then the building. You will have to add it to the appropriate building. For this one, select one and click the save button. You will not be able to delete a document once you upload it. You click upload a document again. I need a certificate of compliance for the third building that we added. Going through this loading process. I'm select the building is for, which is for item 3. I'm going to click save. Next, I do need a mapping diagram. I'm going to select map diagram, upload document. I'm going to select the document, click open, and I'll see the bar loading the document up. Once that's done, I'll select what it's associated with. I'm select one, click save, and I'm gonna click next. And allow me to move to the next screen. Now the next screen is the mailing information. If we need to make any mailing address changes before we submit the application, this is where we're going to do it. At the top, you can see the requested coverage date, the insured name, and the mailing address. And also, since it have not been standardized, we will have to standardize the mailing address. We'll click this one, click OK, and we'll have to put in the phone number. As you can see, the emails required. If we did make a mistake on the email address, we can also make a change to the email here also. And also, if you want to look at the policy summary again, under this drop down, you can review your coverages, whatever you selected, all the way down before we go to the payment screen. No changes need to be made. I'm gonna click next. Now, once you get to the payment details, you have the total premium calculated, you have the payment method. Now, today, you still have EFT like you have today, still e-check. Insured direct pay is what basically we use as check and money order. We have mortgagee escrow. If there's a mortgage company and they're paying for it, you can select mortgagee escrow. However, on the initial submission to us, a new business application, you will need to ensure that the payment is made to us. Now, on the renewal, we will invoice the mortgage company. And if you had premium finances being financed by the premium finance company, I'm gonna click insured direct pay because this is where we have some new options that we don't have present today. So on insured direct pay, we have the new 10 pay. The customer must register and make the down payment in the TWIA customer engaged portal. That is why the customer email address is so vital. If they want to choose that payment method, they will have to log into the portal to do so, and will be auto pay required. And we have TWIA 2 pay, TWIA 4 pay, and TWIA full pay. With this option, they can make the payment through the customer portal if they choose, or they can send in a check, money order, any type of certified funds to us under these options. Please note also, we do have the verbiage about the cancellation of the policy and the pro rata funds and the minimum earned premium. If you notice under mortgagee escrow, it is full pay. You cannot do any different payment plans on the mortgage escrow. Also, if you select premium finance, it will be full pay. And if you don't have one listed, it would let you know that you need to add a premium finance company before we can select that payment option. And the same thing will apply for the mortgage escrow. E-check is the same as it is today. We'll put the account holder's information in, address, banking account information, to agree to acknowledge the ACH payment processing. You do have the ability to select payment plans to pay, for pay, or full pay, but you will not be able to select 10 pay on e-check inside the portal here. Scroll up. And also, if you're an EFT enabled agency, you do have the ability to make the payment via EFT, but it will only be for the full premium amount. For this particular quote, we will select EFT. I'm gonna select submit. I'm gonna confirm the payment method. This is your last chance to cancel before you click OK. It will process the transaction. So once it's finished processing, it'll let you know submission successful. The policy has been issued. And you can click here to take you directly to the declaration page, policy package, or application. Also, the policy number is listed here also, along with the policy effective date, the policy period, the total premium and credits, the payment method, the type of payment plan, also the primary insured information. I'm gonna select right in here. Once I select on the policy number, it takes you direct into the policy for this account. As you can see, you'll see the same tiles before. Summary, any contacts you have listed, which is the additional name insured, primary, the mortgagee. If there's any activity, you have your documents. You have your certificates and the map you uploaded, the email that we sent, your commercial policy package, the business application. I'm gonna open that up for you. This is something that new, it basically replaced the transaction summary page. We have the actual application. Just give you a quick view of that. It's about 7 pages. You'll just go through and line out everything, all your coverage, all your selections. Give you a sneak peek and all your answers. And also, you also get the email that's sent to the insured to create their account. That's why the email is so important. Give it a few moments. And so you get a copy of what we sent the insured. They have the ability to contact us. This is where they go to create their account. This is the link. And it tells them what they can do with their account. Pay their premium online, set up auto payments, review the details of their policy, report and manage a claim. Now, typical question that we always get, what if the insured have multiple policies, different accounts? The insured have the ability, if they already have an existing account set up, to link their policies with that account. If they're unsure of their policy or offer them, they can reach out to us, or they can reach out to you, the agent. Also, as you for the agent, if you do need to make a policy change, you'll click this button, or if you need to cancel the policy. You do get the policy details information listed, the building and location details that we selected, all detailed out. Just click on the drop-down menus. And you get the any policy transaction numbers. Now, what I do want to show you, I do want to show you an offer letter. I know a lot of questions coming about the offer letter and does it have a payment coupon? Let me get you one. There we go. So this is an offer insurance letter. If so, they select insured direct pay, mortgage escrow, or premium finance. When the policy not issued right away, this is the offer insurance letter that is given. It details the offer date, the number, the account number, property location, the insured's name, the requested effective date, the proposed expiration date, premium, due date, and amount due. Also at the bottom, you have the payment coupon to mail the payment to us. And that concludes a version of the commercial web live demo. Was there any questions related to the demo?
Demo wise, that was great. Thanks, John. There are a couple of questions coming in, and I know Laura and Maria are doing a great job of getting them answered. Couple that I noticed that I want to just put up in the forefront and make sure we get answered to the whole group. We have a question coming in regarding the payments, right? So we've looked at where you can do full pay, 2 pay, 4 pay, 10 pay, right? Those options are not going to be available in this new system. The question is, if let's say they're set up on 4 pay, and the policyholder doesn't make their payment, what type of notification does the agency receive to let them know that the payment wasn't made on time, or how is that process going to work?
That's a good question. It will essentially work the same way today. Now you as the agent have the ability to go in and under the billing tab and look to see any billing plans they have, any past due, but we do not get the payment like today. We will send out a notice of cancellation, would essentially give them 14 days to get that payment to us. The agent will be copied on it. They will get the email notification right away. But you will have insight of agent as to what payment plan the insured is on, what payments they have scheduled, what invoices may be due.
Perfect. And kind of along those same lines, Michelle's asking, how does the agency select 10 pay? So they probably noticed in your live demo, right, when you got to the payment option and the payment plans, it does list the 10 pay, but there's not a radio button for the agency to select. So, and that's going to happen in the customer engaged portal, the policyholder portal. When the policyholder logs in and accesses that information to be able to go in and make the payment, the policyholder themselves would be able to choose that 10 pay option in there. So the best thing on the agency side would be to select insured direct pay as your payment method. And you can select whatever payment plan you would like in there, because then once your policyholder goes into that policyholder portal site and they can make the selection, they'll have all 4 of the payment options available to them, and they could select that 10 pay there. Otherwise, doing a good job of getting the questions answered, just kind of some little ones here and there. They're noticing the prefixes on your policy number. So that's another important point to make. As the policies migrate over or new policies go into this new system, migration, the policy number won't change. The number itself is going to remain the same, but there will be some prefixes at the beginning that will identify the different types of policies. And I have a screen that we're going to cover that, but I just wanted to bring that up in the forefront. I'm going to pause for a second here just to see if we have any other questions that I have missed. Laura or Maria, is there anything that you guys have answered that we feel we want to bring to the forefront to the entire group? Or Judy, I know Judy's answering questions too. So is there anything that we feel at this point that we want to speak to with the entire group?
Did we cover the printing quotes? As in, we will not be able to print quotes. They'd have to submit the submission and they can print the application or the offer. Did we cover that? Sorry, I was typing an answer, so I kind of missed what you were saying a few minutes ago.
No, you're
but
good.
That is one question that we're getting about being able to printing quotes or applications.
Okay, perfect. John, will you speak to that just a little bit for me?
Yeah, so at this time, the actual quote itself, while you're in it, you won't be able to print the quote. You can do a print screen. We are working on an enhancement to hopefully give you the ability to print the quote, but you will be able to do the print screen to print this quote setup. However, if you do select offer submitted, as I showed you before, you will be able to get the application or or along with that, the offer letter. Just right now, before you submit it, we do not have that option available, but that is something we're working on as an enhancement to bring to the agent community in a future, sometime in a future release.
Perfect, thank you. We also have a question about specifically the offer letter. Is that always available? I guess I noticed you went to a different quote to show that. Keeping in mind, we're using a background system, a training system. So it's not completely perfect 100%. We're going and kind of piecemealing some things together. So yes, once you submit an application or a renewal, that offer letter will always be available and be generated. So, so it's going to be available there once submitted.
So, and the thing of it this way, the offer letter is when the payment has not been received. So we send in a offer out to you, say, hey, if you like this policy, you can go ahead and pay for it. And we normally attach the payment coupon with that. So it normally comes from the option of insured direct pay, mortgage escrow, or premium finance. But if you do EFT or you do e-check and you pay for the full policy premium up front, the policy is issued, so there's no longer an offer letter. So you actually get a full policy package, and along you will have a policy application that shows you all the questions that you answered.
Great point. So if it's paid for upfront and already taken care of, they're already going to have the declarations pages and the packet of information there. Otherwise, if it's not paid for, there would be an offer generated waiting for payment to come in. Okay, perfect. I think at this point, I know we've got a couple others questions in here, but for timing's sake, I do want to move forward. We will get to all the questions, so please note that we'll get to those. I'm going to let them kind of catch up on the questions. Do want to make a quick note here that I didn't say in my housekeeping at the very beginning. As far as these webinars go, excuse me, there are 2 left that will be live. So tomorrow we have a repeat of today's commercial training. So if you have other individuals in your agency that are heavy in the commercial writing process and would benefit from seeing this live demo and getting their questions answered live, they could join us tomorrow. Additionally, and we can send out those registration links. So 1 webinar tomorrow, repeat of today for commercial. So if you know you have individuals in your agency that may need that, you can drop us a message in the Q&A box and we can get the registration link out to you. Secondarily, on Friday, there is the administrative agency training. So if you know that you yourself are an admin on your agency or potentially going to be added as an admin in this new system to manage the agency and the agency locations as a whole, that would be a great webinar to attend as well. We have Afton Jones, excuse me, from our agent services or policy services area. And she has a great demonstration and screenshots for you to show you about the admin side. So again, tomorrow is another commercial repeat of today. And Friday is another agency administrative training. So if you need either one of those, registration link, drop us a line in the Q&A box and we can get those out to you. Those are also live streamed on YouTube and we will have recorded versions available as well. But if you have some time and space and you feel those would be beneficial to someone else in your agency or you need to be added on the admin one, just drop us a message and we'll get those registration links out to you. Okay, let's keep forward with the PowerPoint presentation. And then, John, if you want to take a look at the questions too, see if there's anything that we want to, bring to the surface while we're kind of finishing up these last few slides here. Okay, so a couple of other questions that we get asked a lot are the payment plan. So payments are obviously a hot button topic, right? That's very important to be able to get your policyholder insured. And we mentioned these quite a bit, but this chart really gives you kind of a good overview, not only of the 4 payment plan options available to your policyholders, but also what that payment structure may look like. So again, TWIA with this new system will have the full 2, 4, and 10 pay option. 10 pay is specifically for the policyholder. They will select that in their policyholder portal, and they can make that selection to select 10 pay and get on that payment plan. This chart's really great because it gives you an idea too of what the down payments are for the different payment plans. So full pay, obviously it's 100% because you're paying the entire premium. 2 pay is 50%, 4 pay is 30%, and then that 10 pay with auto draft is 15%. So that is the down payment that is required to attempt to get a policy issued or renewed. And then it gives you kind of a good idea of the payment schedule. If we can go back real quick, Noah. Thank you. A good idea of the payment schedule. So as John showed you, once this is actually initiated or activated on a policy and you go into that policy, you would be able to see the specific breakdown for that policy holder and for that policy. Like if they selected 10 pay, you would be able to see a rundown of all of the payment dates and how much is due with each of those payments. So again, this is giving you an example here at the bottom, but each of your issued policies would have that in the payment section. You'd be able to see that breakdown and when things are due. And a question we get, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm thinking ahead to questions we get on other webinars. For those payment plans for the 2, 4, and 10 pay, there is not a fee associated with being set up on those payment plans. So whether a policyholder pays in full or does the 10 pay, there is no additional fee on top of that structure or that payment plan. So now we're taking a look at the credit card processing fee. So we mentioned that we have this policyholder portal. The policyholder will be able to go in and pay, excuse me, either through e-check, credit card, or debit card. In the overview training that we did the past few days, we did a demonstration of that ACI system or that policyholder system. So if you're not familiar with it, you haven't seen it, ideally that video is up by tomorrow, that recording, you'd be able to see that information. Well, what's going to happen, as John mentioned, is the policyholder will receive an email letting them know that they have the option to go in and pay directly. That there's a link in that email that will take them to set up and register. And once they're in there, they can make a choice on how they pay. So this chart's a good one too, because it gives you an idea of the fee structure, depending on if it's a residential or if it's a commercial policy. So I'm going to focus on the commercial since this is a commercial training for e-check. So if the policyholder is choosing to make their payments directly through that policyholder portal, but using e-check, meaning we're going to be drafting from the policyholder's bank account, there is no fee for e-check, and that applies for residential and commercial. If they are choosing to pay with a credit card or a debit card, there is a fee associated with that. An important note to make here is that this fee is actually a fee assessed by ACI, which is the credit card processing company that processes our credit and debit card payments through that system. And this entire fee is retained by that company. So this is not a fee that TWIA retains in any capacity. For commercial policies, whether it's a credit card or a debit card, it's going to be 2.99% of the premium being paid at that time. So if they're on a four-pay plan, let's say, and they're making just a portion of their payment, maybe they're making their second payment, the 2.99% is going to be assessed on what they're actually paying at that point in time that day. And then any subsequent payments that they have to make, that fee will be assessed as they make those payments, as they go along. So some of you in your questions noticed some of the prefixes in there as John was doing his demonstration. So we do have prefixes. As I've mentioned, the policy number itself, if it's migrating over from our old system to the new system, remember that 60 days prior to the renewal date, the number itself isn't going to change, but there will be prefixes associated with each of them. So this gives you a listing of the different prefixes that you might see. It is a combination list of residential and commercial, so just wanted to point that out. But you can see some of the specific commercial prefixes that would be associated, and it's just identifying what type of policy that policy number is. So we mentioned the TWIA Training Center quite a bit. The TWIA Training Center is on TWIA.org, and then you go to the Agents tab, and then you have a little Training Center button to visit there, and you can click on it. This area is a wealth of knowledge, and I would really encourage anyone, if you weren't able to attend the overview training, one great example, or once the system goes live on Monday and you have questions or you're getting stuck on something, this area is a great area to go through because it has so much information to help you. One is the recorded versions of these webinars will be on there. Two, we have job aids associated with a lot of activities or actions that you have to take in the new agent portal. So things like policy changes, things like the new business submission. And there are job aids that walk you through step-by-step on how to do that. Additionally, next week we will have CBTs or computer-based trainings. These are video tutorials that are on there that really pair very well with the job aids. So you can kind of choose if you're more of a paper person and you want to read and follow step by step, the job aids are going to be great for you. If you are one that wants to watch a little video, maybe how to do the policy change, okay, got it, then you can follow over to those CBTs for those video tutorials and be able to see those different steps demonstrated for you in a small video demonstration. Oh, and another thing that will be on there are the slides. So the slides from this presentation. John also showed you this, but I wanted to point this out as well. The TWIA Agent Training Center, once you log into this new agent portal that's going live Monday, you'll land on this dashboard every single time. And on the right is a great media bar. And on the very top, it has information on how to access that same TWIA Training Center I was just mentioning. So let's say you're in there, you forgot how to do something or want some clarification, you can click that resource center hyperlink and it would take you to that same training center and you would be able to take a look at those job aids or CBTs to be able to get some assistance. And this is our last slide for the presentation, but please make sure to have your questions come in. And I know we've had quite a bit come in. So if you've got something that you want to ask, go ahead and throw it in there now. Again, as a reminder, if you need the registration links for tomorrow's commercial repeat of today or the admin training on Friday, drop us a line in there as well. We are also having some town halls. So this agent bulletin has not been released yet, so be looking for an invitation soon. But these town halls are strictly a live Q&A session. So I know we have some people watching on YouTube. For every session we've had that. And unfortunately, if you're on YouTube, you don't have the ability to ask the questions live like you do if you're in Zoom. So these town halls are open for everyone. So anyone can come to them, but it's an opportunity to bring your questions about this new system and get your questions answered live. On Tuesday, April 26th and Thursday, April 28th, we'll have 2 different sessions. So again, be on the lookout for that. We will cover some super high level, really basic information about the deployment timelines and that information. But we won't cover any of the bulk of the content. That's what these webinars are for. So these town hall sessions, you can come, bring your questions and get them answered by our subject matter experts. And I think that's our last one. Do we have the renewals one? No, the renewal timeline. I don't know if we happen to miss that. Maybe we go back just a few while we're seeing if any other questions come in.
You know, I actually think that we removed that slide from this presentation.
Okay, that's fine. Just real quick on the renewals as they migrate over. I mentioned they're coming over 60 days prior to renewal. You will have the opportunity as an agency from 60 to 35 days from that renewal date to make any changes to that renewal that has migrated over. And at 35 days prior to that renewal date is when that offer letter goes out. So just wanted to make it a point. As those policies migrate from our old system to the new, you will have that window of opportunity. And again, that's 60 days prior to renewal date to 35 days prior to the renewal date to go in and make any changes. Let's say your policyholder wants to change a deductible, change some type of coverage. You can make that change and get that submitted to TWIA, and that change would then be part of that offer packet that goes out at 35 days prior to renewal. So at this point, this does technically conclude the content piece of the webinar, but we do have some questions. I want to take this opportunity to open up to our subject matter experts. I know we had a lot of great questions coming in. Is there anything that you guys have read and answered that we could take the opportunity to answer live to the entire group to make sure that everyone's on the same page? John, sounds like you did just a bang up job and then they know everything, huh?
I will say this, I know there's some questions about the renewals. If there's anything outstanding where we need your assistance agent to help the data migrate over, say loan numbers or email addresses, we will reach out to you directly at someone in your office and let you know what assistance we need with you to help get that information moved over to the new system. And so if you have not heard, we will reach out to you. If you've not heard, that means your information is fine, it's good, but we'll keep you updated every step of the way as we continue the process of migrating your renewals over to the new system.
I see another good one about reminders for payment. So let's say the policyholder is set up on a payment plan, right, where they're going to have to make subsequent payments. What type of reminders or notifications are we sending out to the policyholder? That would be via email to remind them of a due date. What does that process look like?
Lou, I'm gonna let you take care of that one.
Yeah, Christina, would you repeat that question for me, please?
Sure, absolutely. We've had a couple of questions about payment reminders or notifications. So let's say
Yes.
they have a policyholder on like a 4Pay, and the curiosity is what type of reminders or notifications are we sending the policyholder to remind them that that payment is coming due on their payment plan?
Okay, so that would be handled one of two ways. So I'll just go the easy route, I guess the basic route, and saying that they're not set up on auto draft, but they're set up on 4Pay. After the initial down payment, a few months later, there will be an invoice that goes out and provides, I believe, about 30 days for the payment to be received. It's an invoice with a coupon at the bottom of it. The coupon should be torn off and mailed in with a check. And if payment is not received, there is not a reminder that goes out, but as John explained, there will be a notice of cancellation that's mailed out. The agency will be notified, and that allows 14 days for the payment to come in and be posted, and then that cancellation will be rescinded. So from start to finish invoice to I guess the actual termination of the policy, if we don't get the payment, there's approximately 45 days there.
So
Roughly.
30 days, that 30 days before the payment due date, a reminder going out, and then the 14-day period on the notice of cancellation.
Right, and there is no reminder notice that says, hey, we invoiced you on this date, we still haven't received your payment. There's nothing along those lines that says, and if we don't receive your payment, we're going to be issuing a notice of cancellation. It's basically the invoice. If payment's not received, then a notice of cancellation is issued.
Okay,
But
And
they'll
I would
provide an
assume
additional
those-
14 days for payment.
perfect. And just like today, like the, for example, the notice of cancellation, if that happens to generate on a policy, that's going to generate on the agent side and their documents, they'd be able to see that, but that's also mailed out to the policyholder as well.
Correct. And the agent will also receive an email that has a subject line, probably of, notice of cancellation and maybe the policy number, just to alert them if, because not all of the agents are in our system all the time. So that's why we're sending out an email notification to the agent as well. Now,
Perfect.
I will say this though, now that is on the original new submission and for any subsequent installment invoice that may be mailed. The two exceptions, I'll say exceptions to that would be the renewal offer itself. So the renewal offer, Christine, as you have said, will generate and be mailed to the policyholder 35 days prior to expiration. If payment is not received within a certain period of time, there is a reminder that goes out to the policyholder that alerts them we haven't received their payment yet for the renewal offer. And then if we don't receive payment by the expiration date or shortly thereafter, I think there might be a day or two lag, then a lapse notice will also be issued and sent to the policyholder. But at that point, basically the renewal effective, they have 10 days, I think, still to get their payment into us and maintain the original effective date. But if it comes in, payment comes in after that 10-day grace period, then the effective date would be the date payment is received.
Perfect.
So
right.
on renewals, there's a bit more activity as far as notifications to the policyholder. With the original offer, what we'll call a reminder notice, a lapse notice that basically says get your payment in by this date to maintain your effective date. The other thing I wanted to cover just briefly is if they're on auto draft, they will receive an email prior to the payment being drafted from their account. And
Good
that,
point.
and that goes out from our billing system.
Okay. And Michelle asked a great question, and I think it's a good one just to reiterate that the policyholder will need to make the first payment same day as submitted to make the policy active or issued. Is that correct? And so, yes, that's a good one. John already answered it directly to her, but wanted to put that out there. You know, for our policies, there is some sort of payment that needs to be sent in for the policy to be issued. So, you know, whether you're submitting it with a payment like an EFT or like an e-check, if your policyholder is going to go into the policyholder portal and make that first payment themselves, that's exactly right, Michelle. You'll go ahead and submit that application or the renewal to TWIA if you're making any changes. And that renewal will sit there pending with that offer. And then if they're wanting a same day effective date, then yes, the policyholder would need to go in that same day and make their first payment on whatever payment plan they're choosing to get that into TWIA so that the policy can be issued.
Yeah. And that's a good point. That none of our requirements have changed with respect to that. Just the process and options available to make that payment have been enhanced.
Exactly. And it's a good point to bring up there with the payments. You know, we talk a lot in this webinar about the policyholder portal because it's really great that they are going to have this option. They have it in our old system too for a little bit, but having it as well in our new system to be able to make a payment via e-check or credit card, but also keeping in mind that all of our binding guidelines and criteria stay exactly the same. And all of the previous options are still available to you. EFT, e-check, mailing in a check, and all of those various mailing options, whether it be a PO box, whether it be some sort of approved mailing method like registered mail or certified mail, all of those remain intact. So none of those are being removed or taken away. It's just simply the addition of the policyholder being able to go into that portal, pay with their bank account via e-check or credit card or debit card, or and then being able to select a payment plan. So if your agency is one that, you know, for example, uses FedEx all the time to mail a payment in, or mails in through regular mail, those are all still completely viable options. And then those payments will be applied and policies will be issued based on our binding guidelines that are remaining the same.
Yeah. And I also mentioned, Christine, all good points, but again, the same as today, whether an agent makes a payment either through EFT or e-check at the time of submission or renewal, the same holds true for a policyholder when they make the payment online. The issuance of the policy happens at that point in time, so
Right.
or very close within that time frame. So there's very little delay, if any, as far as notification that coverage has been put into effect.
Right. Exactly. And so again, it's just an additional option, right, for the policyholder to go online and pay themselves, you know, great self-service option. If they would rather not, if they would still rather write a check, or if your agency is going to write a check off of the agency account, whatever your processes may be within your agency, all of those are still very much viable options. That policyholder portal is just now another option to where the policyholders can pay directly. So at this point in time, we are just a few minutes away from the end of the webinar. We have a couple of questions coming in, but it's dwindling down a bit. So if you're good to go, you're done, you got all your questions answered, I will release you to have the rest of your day and enjoy the rest of it. Have a great weekend coming up, even though it's only Wednesday. But we will stay on for just a few more minutes and see if there's any lingering questions to get those answered. Otherwise, have a great day. If you're signed up for the admin training, we will see you on Friday. And otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. And just a question I know from out there came in, the farmers, you know, you as an agent, you still have the ability to manage that policyholder to the same way you do today. So if your insurers prefer to come to your office or come to you to make the payment, you do the payments for them, that's perfectly fine. We still gather all the data points for the insurer to give them the option if some point in the future they choose to manage some of those self-service things themselves. But you can still do what you're doing today with your insurers and your policyholders.
Absolutely. And on that same note, I see a similar kind of comment about, you know, if they're on a limited income, if they're on a limited income, the payment plans are a great option to explore with them and see what options they have. Remember, the 10-pay does require auto pay, so it might require you kind of partnering with that policyholder and guiding them through the steps, but that policyholder portal is specifically for them. But maybe sitting down with them and demonstrating, showing how they log in and getting them set up on auto pay. That would be a great benefit because, as we mentioned, there's not a fee for those payment plans. So at this point in time, I see we don't have any other questions. I'm just going to give it about 10 to 15 more seconds. See if anything pops up. All right, at this point in time, I don't see any other questions coming in. Thank you guys so much for your time. We appreciate it. And if you're on the agency admin training, we'll see you on Friday. Have a good one. Goodbye.